But yeah, let me go ahead and get started. Give me a little background on yourself and how you got involved with Abated Mass of Flesh.
Well, my name is Zack, so I'm the guitarist and founding member of the band. Started it in 2011. I think it was like the summer of 2011 when I started. It was just a solo act. And I'd experimented a little bit with like noise grind stuff and just some other like black metal and death metal projects before it. So originally Abated started doing like a couple of tracks that were just noise grind, just disgusting kind of stuff. And then I eventually wanted to turn it into more like of a death metal thing. So I started writing for that first EP, Moth and Rust in the Temple of Putridity in 2011. And just threw it up on the internet, and it just picked up a lot of attention from folks. And I think it was like Pure Volume at that time. I don't know if you remember Pure Volume. But,
I remember, yes.
Yep. Yeah, we had some stuff up on there. And just got some help from distribution. Some people wanted to put it out, and the rest is history. It caught on from there, and then I added my brother on the following year. I think on the second EP. To take over on vocals. So we were just a two-piece then. And a year or two later, we found a drummer and officially became like a live act. And okay. So that's kind of like how it started.
So is the band now, do you still do most of the writing? And then you have people that come in and play, or?
Yeah, it's... That's how it's been lately. We collectively work together as a band on Eternal Harvest. A lot of the songs on that album we crafted, wrote, and practiced a lot, and still play a lot of them live. But a lot of the EPs and like the smaller releases, those I did all the writing for. Yeah.
Do you do the instrumentations? Like all the instrumentation?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like on the new album, you did all the instrumentation.
Right, yeah.
Okay. How long did that, and that was probably recorded during this pandemic stuff? Yeah,
pretty much. Like we came back from tour and that's when lockdown happened. Right. So, we're all stuck at home trying to find things to do. And, there's not a lot going on when all this stuff happened. So, I just took the opportunity to start kind of thinking about concepts for a new release, and just started like writing some lyrics and crafting some songs together. And that became The Dead Will Never Forgive Us.
So who did your brother do the vocals on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, on that release, it's just me and him. And we've done that before. We did that, like on Lacerated. We did it on the Abhorrent Postmortal Vicissity EP, Brutal Death. I think it was The Anatomy of Impurity, Death Crusher. So me and Matthew have a history of, working on stuff together like that. It's and Eternal Harvest is when we had like the full band in to do a record, and also the Omen King too. That was a full band release as well.
Okay, all right.
With our members at the time, yeah.
Right. Okay. What sort of music do you listen to, and who's your favorite artist?
Oh man, that's so. I listen to a variety of different things. So it's I would say my favorite artist, as far as like musician goes, I'd probably say Bruce Springsteen. I'm a huge Springsteen fan, believe it or not. And stuff like Neil Young, and I like a lot of that stuff. As far as artists goes, as far as bands go, it's too hard to say, man. I always get stumped when people ask me like, top 10, top 5, or favorite artists of all time. I listen to, as far as metal goes, I listen to a lot of a lot of death metal, and black metal too. But I guess I'd say like brutal death metal, traditional death metal stuff, like old school stuff from the 90s, and black metal as well. Just a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, but it's hard to pinpoint a specific band right off.
So what about when I say death metal, who's the first band that comes to mind?
Devourment for me, which is more brutal death metal. But like with our sound, as far as like what inspired the band and our writing, I would say bands like Dying Fetus, Devourment. I guess every death metal band is inspired by Cannibal Corpse in some way too. But also, a lot of the old school Christian death metal bands inspired me starting out. I was, diehard into Crimson Thorn and of course Living Sacrifice, Mortification, and a lot of the really underground bands like Tortured Conscience, and just kind of blanking on a lot of the names. But yeah, like when I started Abated Mass of Flesh, I was heavily inspired by a lot of the underground Christian death metal bands, black metal bands and stuff like that. And then I just started getting into more raw, kind of guttural, brutal death metal stuff with the very beginning of the band. So, and I lost your audio.
I'm here. Sorry.
There you go. Okay.
So, do you have I think I asked you this last time, but we'll go over it again. Do you have a favorite superhero? And if so, why do you like them?
I do actually, though it's probably more of an anti-hero. I grew up with Spawn.
Ah, okay.
So, of course, when I was young, I was into Batman, Spider-Man, and stuff like that. But I got into Spawn probably around 96 or 97. So, just getting like some of the comic books and action figures for Christmas. And then that built me up until the film came out in 97. So when I think of my childhood, that's probably one of the top 5 things I can list as far as like influences and things that inspired me as a kid was Spawn, and, getting into Todd McFarlane's illustrations and inspiring me to, illustrate and draw as well, which, probably has an influence in my artistic direction to this day and whatnot. But yeah, still to this day, man, I'm still a hardcore Spawn fan.
So, are you excited about the movie that's supposed to be coming out at someday?
Yeah, no, if it's ever going to happen. So, yeah, I'm definitely anticipating it. I like to see where they take it because, being, a kid when the movie came out, that was like my whole world just did, come to life. I remember we went to the movie theater to see, we didn't see that one. We went to see something as a family. And I remember stepping away to go to the bathroom or something, and like I saw that Spawn was being shown, so I like stepped into the movie theater by myself and like caught a clip of the ending and was just like, so blown away by it. And then of course you look at it now and it's just terrible special effects, and it's aged pretty badly, but still a cool film for me. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to where they're going to take it if they ever pick it back up again.
Right. So, if you had to choose one movie or TV series to watch, what would it be?
Well, I always say, I think I said also in the last interview we did that my favorite movie is Pulp Fiction. And I'm always down to watch that. Actually, my wife and I just watched it again a few weeks ago. As far as TV shows go, I was never really big into series that much, but one that I'm getting into a lot lately, and that we just decided during quarantine, is The Sopranos. So I've been checking out. My wife and I have been going through all the seasons of Sopranos and checking it out and really getting into it and stuff. But yeah, we also like the the David Attenborough nature shows, like the world discovery shows, where they kind of like talk about species on the verge of extinction and kind of go all around the world. So we enjoy watching that stuff too. And I'm a huge Simpsons fan, so I grew up on The Simpsons, and it's fun. Here lately, we've been going back and watching all of those, and I can remember a lot of those from when I was a kid growing up too. So
Okay, all right. Um, I don't really need to ask this question, but I always do so that you can kind of expand on it. Obviously, you consider yourself a religious or spiritual person. How does that affect your career choices, both musically and outside of music, even?
um, that's a good question. Like how does it affect things that I do as far as art and things like that?
Yeah, choices
Um,
in general. I mean,
right. Well, like nowadays, things are more agnostic for me. Starting out with the band and Abated Mass of Flesh, it was I was in a completely different state of mind. So, that was a very important point in my life for me. Like, I used, my faith to guide where I was going with the music and was seeking, like a certain direction and where things would go and whatnot. So my faith was at a pretty high point starting out, but as things have gone by, my faith has been challenged a lot. There's a lot of things, I've kind of been deconstructing my faith over time and trying to understand things a little bit more, hear things from a different perspective. And it's kind of a hard thing to talk about because I don't talk about it much. um, and of course we still have you know believers in the band and stuff like that, so the sole purpose of the message of the band and stuff doesn't hinge on my personal experiences and whatnot, but it is an experience overall. So a lot of the stuff like on the last record and maybe the last couple records were written from that perspective of change and like the journey overall, because it's still very much an important part of my life. It's something that I want to continue to write about. And, you know, I am who I am today because of the Christian faith and because of all of those influences musically in the Christian hardcore and metal scene that shaped me into what I do today. So, yeah, my faith was in a different spot starting out, and it's in a different position now, but that's still a huge part of my life, and I still want to continue to write about it, explore it, and see where things go, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying. So, do you consider yourself to still be a Christian?
I consider myself more agnostic these days. I have a lot of respect and admiration towards the Christian faith. Um, and it's basically in a position of me being honest and true with myself, stepping back and questioning myself. What do I really believe? Um, what, you know, what can I attest to and affirm and know 100%? And I'm just not sure that I have that certainty in me. And that's where faith comes in, of course.
Okay.
And, it's just a wrestling point with that. Maybe digging in too deep and getting more technical with things. But yeah, I'm not completely, you know, ingrained and have a solid answer for these things. It seems more honest for me to kind of throw my hands up and say, I don't know. It could be the way, it could be the honest and true way, and it may not be. But you know, I'm trying to be honest with myself and with those around me. So, you know, just to kind of see where things go, basically, you know, I'm just kind of seeing how it plays out.
Right. Okay. Okay. Tell us a bit about the latest project that you're involved in and promoting, and which is the new album, obviously.
Um, as far, like the other projects that I
Well,
work
I'm
with,
sorry.
or
Well, I meant Abated Mass of Flesh, but yeah, you can talk about anything. Sure. Yeah.
okay, yeah, well, yeah, The Dead Will Never Forgive Us is our latest release, and you know, like started writing that when the lockdown started. So, you know, we're basically brainstorming some ideas, my brother and and I just started writing for it. It kind of has a message of everything I just talked about, you know, where where life is leading me in my beliefs, you know, where it used to be, where it is now, how to kind of process a lot of the stuff that's going on nowadays, you know, mentally. And, you know, there are definitely personal lyrics and themes involved with the project and whatnot. And that's one thing I always wanted Abated Mass of Flesh to represent was the struggle. From the very beginning, the very first release was defined in struggle, basically. You know, I suffered with severe anxiety, and, you know, it's basically a hypochondriac. And it put me in a lot of physical and mental stress. And, you know, I wrote, you know, based on those experiences. You know, I wrote my lyrics, and if you just read all the lyrics from the early stuff, you know, I'm making declarations of faith and trying to see where God is at, you know, during those times. And, you know, there's praise and there's doubt. And, you know, there's just a lot of topics through my journey that I've written about on those releases. But here lately, we decided to kind of branch out with future works and to kind of have input from everybody. You know, I said that we want to try to not have everything be based upon my experiences anymore. We want to be doing things together as a full band and get everybody's input and creative, you know, stuff put in. So, but The Dead Will Never Forgive Us is the latest release. And yeah, I think that's the latest project that I have out. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
So, have you found any? And I'm asking this because I've inside of being in the scene and, you know, knowing how people react certain ways to things. Do you feel like there was pushback on your lyrics? Like, because, you know, most people that are into Christian metal and stuff like that, they get pretty touchy when it comes to you changing, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like you changing your perspective.
Yeah.
Have you had some pushback from that, or have you found it to be actually relatively lax and not quite as hostile as it could be?
Yeah, I agree completely with what you're saying. Yes and no. Like, we have those fans that, you know, are very, very much rooted in, you know, like, praise the Lord. You know, they see us more as like an evangelical type band. And in a way we were when we started. But I think it's pretty obvious if you do follow the lyrics, you can see that we're not, you know, like this evangelical type of band anymore. You can say, yes, we're still a Christian band because, you know, that's, you know, where we started. It's what we continue to write about and whatnot. We're just not that type of outreach type of evangelical type band. And we have some fans that see us as that. And, but we haven't had a whole lot. I know that personally, you know, in my own life, I've kind of experienced it a little bit. And it's one of the reasons why I stepped away from social media altogether, was that, you know, all of the friends that I had built up through social media were, you know, for the most part through Abated Mass of Flesh from the beginning. So, like I said, when we started out, the message was more direct, and that attracted, you know, it was split down the middle. You know, there's, you know, like the hardcore, you know, Christians, and then there was a secular crowd too. So it kind of had like an even balance between both. But those in the beginning, um, you know, they're probably a little more fundamental in their faith and whatnot. And for the most part, they've all been great. They're still my friends, and you know, I love those guys. But you know, every once in a while, there's a few that stick out that start to kind of criticize you for
Right.
stuff you listen to or shirts you're wearing, and you know, start to criticize your work and stuff. And you know, I got tired of it, and I just decided to step away from the social media platform to kind of get my head together and figure out, you know, what works best for me. And I tend to work better in isolation. So I've kind of just been in my own little world these past few years, and, you know, writing from experiences and whatnot, and, you know, just putting music out and seeking within myself and whatnot. And, you know, it's been incredible, and it's been a huge relief to kind of step away and, you know, get away from all of the social media drama.
Right. What do you got planned coming up? Or are you kind of like trying to push the new album and not so much move on as quick as, you know, a lot of people do these days?
Yeah. No, I'm kind of taking some time with other projects and stuff. I started up a small little label called Caustic Hymn Productions, and it's basically, I've done music for a long time now. So, you know, I have a collection of different projects, and it was just getting difficult to try to manage so many different Bandcamp accounts. So I just created a label called Caustic Hymn Productions, and I put all of my projects on this one format. So it's easier to manage, and it's all projects associated with Zack Plunkett, basically. So I've been working with that, and so I put a lot of the older releases that I've worked on over the years up, and I've been working on some new ones too. Like involved in some death metal projects and whatnot. And I'm currently working on like an instrumental type project. It's not really metal. It's just more of kind of like, you know, shoegaze, kind of post rock kind of stuff.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
yeah, a completely different spin to what I normally work on. And I'm enjoying doing that so far. So I've got that in the works, and it's coming along pretty well so far.
Cool.
But
Okay.
as far as the Abated Mass of Flesh goes, yeah, we're just going to sit on this release for a little bit. And this, you know, we usually will put a release out and then kind of get some tour offers that come through, and we'll usually pick something up. And, you know, we're not doing that. So, you know, with the pandemic and stuff going on.
Right.
So we don't really know what's going on at this point. So, yeah, me and Matt just put that album out, and we're just kind of sitting on it and just letting it kind of spread around a little bit. And I'd say we'll probably start writing for a new album next year or so. But you know, the only time we get together as a full band is when we've had some of these live stream shows come up.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done I'd say probably about 3 live streams since the pandemic started, and that's been good, you know, because, you know, we're isolated, locked away, and, you know, our last big experience was being on that tour together at the Hasten Revelation Tour. And you know, we come back, we're in lockdown, and so getting back together like 3 months after lockdown to jam and practice and stuff, it was real refreshing and felt pretty good. So we'll try to do that as much as we can, and we just have plans to kind of prep and you know, get a new album written, and kind of work together collectively like we did writing the songs for Eternal Harvest.
Are you, who put out, did you put this one out? Is this self put out, or did you I didn't have. I can't remember.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been an independent band for a few years now, probably longer than that. Our last label was Rottweiler Records,
Okay,
and they
that's what
put
I thought.
out
Okay.
yeah, they put out Brutal Death, The Anatomy of Impurity, Death Crusher, The Omen King.
Oh, so wow, they put out a lot of them.
They put out 4 or 5 of our releases, and then after our contract was up, we started doing everything independently, and that's just kind of how we've been rolling ever since. And yeah, so this last one, I I put it out through the Caustic Chem Productions digitally, and so we've got like CDs and stuff in the works, and like some T-shirts and stuff like that. But it's not funded or put out through an official like record label.
Sure.
It's still all very much independent. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. You want to say anything in closing?
No, not really. Just excuse my my nervousness. I've never done a Zoom call before.
You did great, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's cool being able to connect like this and being able to talk about some things, like and in regards to the topics of my faith and how things have changed over time. It's kind of cool to be able to talk about it publicly, and a little nervous in the process of doing that because I haven't really been able to talk to too many people about it. But
right,
that was one thing about the guys on the Hasten Revelation Tour. It was probably one of the first times I really got to talk about this stuff, and all of the bands on that tour, and Gyrus, the guy running it, just one big family. We sat down for probably, it seemed like 4 or 5 hours all night on tour, just all having a group discussion about stuff. And it was really cool to be accepted and understood by people and not, judged or criticized because of, where I'm at in life right now. So those are great guys. And it was a good experience being able to connect and talk about, some of these issues and stuff. And yeah, same with you, Eric.
Hey, man. I just encourage you to, keep seeking, man. Do what I'm a Christian, so of course I'm gonna, I'm gonna be biased.
Hey, I totally understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to come off as like being flippant about anything. So
yeah,
but I definitely encourage you to, continue seeking and continue your journey.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It's been a good process. Just I've been thinking more critically and open about things, and not keeping my mind so closed to hearing the other side or hearing different conversations. So I spent a few years in just diving into topics and debates that I was always afraid to go near because I was afraid that it would, damage me or hurt me or spin me into a spiral. And I've been through plenty of mental episodes during this process, trying to figure out things and, see where I'm at. But opening myself up to curiosity, critique, and, just thinking of things more critical and whatnot, I'm kind of getting used to that process and getting more comfortable with seeking and not being so afraid of it like I used to be.
Right. Well, just remember, I think one thing that a lot of people forget is when it's all said and done, man, it's about faith. I mean, you can't believe if you don't believe. You got to have faith.
That's really what it comes down to for the most part. I can go over things, I can question things, I can try to find answers for things, and I'll get some pretty solid answers that conflict with a lot of Christian beliefs and stuff. And you're right, it very much does come down to faith.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get answers on everything.
Mm-hmm. And
I know that sounds like a fundamental Christian thing, you know. It doesn't matter what, yeah, but I mean, it's true, man. I mean, you're never gonna.
We can only know so much, right? So,
right.
Yeah, we're only, limited in our thinking and understanding, and and that's just it. I get blown away just thinking about how sophisticated life is, and where my place is in the universe, and just being blown away thinking about how vast all of this stuff is, and there's just only so much that I can know and understand. And I think it's just it feels better for me just being open and honest, saying that I don't have the answers, and I don't know everything, and I'm not certain on claims that I used to make regarding my faith nowadays.
Right.
And you're right. Yeah, it just comes down to faith, and kind of rediscovering that, or figuring out where I sit in that situation.
Right. It's a choice you make in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to make the choice. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I totally appreciate you coming on. I know we had a little trouble connecting here and there, but
it's all good, man.
I appreciate it, and I encourage you to keep on going. Your music's great. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got it. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and I hope to catch you when stuff goes back to normal, or we're back on tour. I hope to get on another Hasten Revelation Tour, or just any kind of tour, and come through and see you again.
Cool. All right.